Are you planning to move to Canada to study or to work, and you are planning to have a child, or you are already pregnant and you're thinking of how the healthcare system is going to be for you because you're not yet a Canadian citizen? In this video, I'll give you a brief story about how I was able to give birth in Canada while being an immigrant, an international student, and not a citizen, and what are the things that I did, how was the experience like, and would I recommend it? So if you're interested in this kind of video, please keep watching. My name is Susanna. Welcome to my channel. Right, so first things first, the first thing you need to do is to be certain that you're pregnant, right? I don't know whatever timeline you are in, maybe this is your first trimester or your second trimester or your third, but whatever timeline it is, you need to register at a clinic or at a hospital depending on what province that you are in. So that was the first thing that I did. I had to find a clinic to go register to, and as an international student, I went to my college clinic and I told them about my situation. So because of the health system here, you cannot just go in to see a doctor immediately. I could be wrong, but because of the, I guess, the large influx of people that the doctor has to see, this is an emergency. It is advisable to book an appointment. They won't let you see the doctor. You have to book an appointment. But if you're sure that you're pregnant, you've done the pregnancy test and all that, so you just need to like chill and book an appointment to see the doctor. So that was what I did, and on my appointment date, they tested to see if I was actually pregnant. So then you do the pregnancy test at the clinic or at the hospital, and once it is confirmed, then you see the doctor who asks you questions about, you know, your decision. Do you want to do this? Are you interested in keeping the pregnancy? Is this something you want? What are your plans? Things like that. These are basic questions. These are standard questions, and you need to understand what situation that you are in, because it's not everybody that wants to give birth. It's not everybody that wants to get pregnant, and you're living in a country where this sort of things are legal. Like, you have to ask questions and they need to be sure you have a choice, right? Okay, so let's move past that. So because this is my choice and this is something that I wanted, it was easy enough to tell the doctor that yes, I would like to continue with the pregnancy. So first thing they do is to book you in for an ultrasound. It's called a dating ultrasound. I could be wrong, but it is just to figure out your expected due date, which is called EDD. So they book you in for the ultrasound. Now, as a student, as an international student, your insurance, your student insurance, your student health coverage does not cover a lot of things. These things include ultrasound. You have to pay out of pocket. So I had to pay money, extra money, to do the ultrasound. So when I was booking the ultrasound, they asked me if I had an health card, an Ontario health card, and I didn't have it, which means I don't have health coverage. So I had to pay. I paid like $100 or more, I can't really remember, but $100 depending on the facility, right? So you have to pay. For the doctor's appointment, you don't have to pay because it's covered under your, you know, your health coverage as a student to see the doctor. I didn't pay for that, but for other things like ultrasounds, I don't know, dental, whatever, you need to pay out of pocket. So after doing the ultrasound and they figure out that everything is fine with you and with your baby, you get to, you know, continue to live your life, go to school, go to work, whatever it is, and you are asked if you are interested in doing something called, I don't know what it's called because I didn't do it, but it's basically like a test to see if there are no abnormalities wrong with your child, with your fetus, to see if they have chances of getting Down syndrome, anything, blood disorder, whatever it is. So this test will do it, would check to see those things. I opted out for it. It's optional, really. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. I didn't do it, but if you are going to do that, it will also cost you more money because it's outside of the regular things that your health coverage covers for you. Now, moving to the most serious part of this, because you are paying for these things out of your pocket as an international student, if you cannot afford it, it will cost you a lot of money. If you don't have an health card, it will cost you a lot of money. So you have to be prepared to pay money from your pocket to do these things. Because of the province I was in, my province, Saskatchewan, lovely province, it covers health coverage for students, so you get to have a health card. But the thing about this is that you need to be a resident of the province. If you're not a resident, you cannot get the health card, right? So you need to have the health card registered under your home address, and you need to show proof that you are living here. So because I moved from Ontario here for my studies, right, so I booked in my health card. It takes a while for the health card to get to you because they're going to mail it to you. So it took a period of 3 months plus before you need to get your health card. So within that time, if you need to see the doctor, you need to do some tests, you have to pay money for it. You need to have your money, right? Because when you're going to the doctor's appointment, you will pay because you don't have a health card. While you're waiting for your health card, please have enough money. If you're going to do this, I need to let you guys know. It depends on the province, right? Some province you don't have to pay a lot of money to see the doctors, but for some provinces you need to pay a lot of money. So imagine doing this while waiting for your health card and you don't have the money. You need to have money. So get enough money, obviously, and when you go in for your doctor's appointments, you need to pay for them until your health card arrives. I had to wait, and for the things that I couldn't wait for to see the doctor, I had to pay for them. After your health card arrives, you are allowed to, you're allowed to have access to healthcare here in Saskatchewan. So I was referred to an OBGYN. I went to the hospital here and I told them about my situation. I was pregnant and I need prenatal care. I need to register to prenatal care. I need to start seeing a doctor that is specialized in, this. And they referred me to an OBGYN. I was really lucky to be able to have access to that because it's centered care, OBGYN centers on women's health and maternity, pregnancy and all that. So I got referred to a doctor, and because I had a health card, I didn't have to pay to see the doctor. So what the doctor will do, the doctor will monitor your health, monitor your baby's progress week by week, or every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, depending on where you are and in your pregnancy. So if you're in your first trimester, you don't need to see the doctor every week. If you're in your second, maybe every 2 weeks. If you're in your third, maybe every week. Do you understand? So it depends on the timeline of your pregnancy. So I got to see the doctor every week, every 2 weeks, and to monitor my baby and ask questions, things that you need to do, blood tests, meds or whatever you needed. Now, for somebody who has complications during pregnancy that you need medication, your health coverage does not cover it. Basically, you need to have like an insurance, and I didn't have that insurance, so I had to pay out of pocket for my meds. It could vary for province to province. Like if you have a spouse who is on an health coverage at work or has health insurance, you might not pay for any doctor's prescription. But for me, I didn't have that, so I had to pay out of pocket. But for things like blood work, which is very important, you need to do for accessing public health, for like immunization for pregnant women, I didn't pay for these things. Again, please check with the province that you'll be staying at to be sure of these things. If you want more information, just go to your public health clinic. They will give you more information about it. You cannot do a blood work without getting a form from your doctor that you need to do a blood work. So during that time, your doctor will inform you, will ask you that can you afford it, is this covered under your health coverage, blah blah blah, and then you'll be able to figure out if you need to pay money for that or not, depending on your complications. If you have complications with your pregnancy, which is expected really because pregnancy is a lot and you need to see the doctors more regularly, you need to go in at an expected date, so you book in ahead of your appointment. Everything here is about booking into appointments. You cannot just walk in. I mean, there are walk-in clinics, right? But still, you need to like wait, and it takes time. unless it's an emergency, then you go to the emergency room or whatever. My baby, you go to the emergency room, but for most of the things you need to book ahead. So you have to plan ahead. If you're a student and you have classes or you need to work, you still need to plan ahead of time. Do I have to go to the clinic this week? What time will I be able to go? So I had a calendar that I was able to book in my my events, my timeline, everything, to keep my head sane so that events wouldn't clash. So I had like a time frame of everything I needed to do. Now moving to the labor and the delivery, which is like the major part of being pregnant, right? I had to go in after 35 weeks to see my doctor at the hospital to check my baby's heartbeats and heart rate. For each visit, it was free because I had a health card and because I was referred to by my OBGYN. So everything was covered under my health card coverage. So I did not pay for that. Because you're a landed immigrant in certain provinces, you have access to free healthcare. Not free, but you have access to healthcare to a certain amount compared to some other provinces like Ontario, where you have to pay these things out of pocket. So for my labor and delivery, I did not pay a dime. And for my visits in the hospital, I did not pay a dime. The service was spectacular, and I'm going to go a little bit personal here. The service for my experience, my labor experience, was wonderful. It was really good. I don't have anything to compare it with. This is my first child. I wish I could compare it with my experience back home in Nigeria, but I know it is nothing. It's just different, right? Because because Canada is more technologically advanced than Nigeria, there are some things that we don't have access to back home. So it made my birth story different, and it made it really good for me. I couldn't have asked for a better team. They were really helpful. The nurses were kind. The doctor was amazing, and they put me through every step. They put me through in every step, right? So they communicated everything as it went, with all the complications, whatever it was I was being told, and I was given the chance to make decisions for myself and for my baby. And it was important to have a support system because you can't do it alone, right? So you need to have somebody with you. So everything, like I said, needed planning. So they would ask you, do you have a support system? Are you in school? Who is going to take care of your child when you have your baby? You're going to go to school. Obviously, I couldn't take my baby with me to school. So this is why I'm saying that this is what you want to do, you have to be very prepared. You have to plan ahead. You have to plan ahead, and you have to figure out if you're going to be paying for childcare, which is very expensive. If you're going to be paying for childcare, I think they take babies minimum of 8 weeks, right? So before that time, you need to have somebody that will be there to take care of your child. If it's your spouse, if it's a family member, or a very close friend, whatever it is, whoever it is that's going to be taking care of the child, you need to know all that before you even give birth. When your baby is born, you register for the certificate, the birth certificate, right at the hospital here. You don't need to even go home before it's done. This is like their own system here. So my baby had our birth certificate registered before we even left the hospital. So I don't know if this is for every province, but in Saskatchewan that is the rule. So you apply for the birth certificate and then they mail it to your address 2 months later or a month later. 2 months later, give or take. And then your baby becomes a citizen. Now, because your baby is a citizen doesn't mean you are a citizen, right? So this is a different ball game. Your baby has everything that you do not have as an immigrant, as a temporary resident. She can access healthcare, no questions asked. She can vote, she can do all the things that a citizen can do. She has rights, she has blah blah blah, all those things. But you don't have that, at least for now, because just because you gave birth does not mean that you somehow jump through the whole scale of you becoming a student, getting your work permit, and being a permanent resident. You need to go through all those steps regardless of your new status as a mother or as a father. So You need to go through all those steps, and once you're done, you become a citizen. But it doesn't have your child being a citizen has nothing to do with your own current status. As a parent of a child living in Canada, you have access to some things like childcare, which is depending on your income level. So if you are making less than a certain amount of money, the government pays you childcare in return. Like, they help you with childcare, and that's because your child lives in Canada. So the money is for your child, not necessarily to you, but depending on what you want to do, you spend the money on your child, or you save the money for your child. That is totally up to you. The government just pays you. Whatever you want to do with it, you do. So they pay you monthly. But before then, you must have, done your income tax. Now, if you're interested in getting a video about income tax, whether or not international students also need to pay taxes, whether or not you also get a tax refund at the end of the year, let me know in the comment section, and I will make a video dedicated to that. So because you've already, filed your taxes, you get a child benefits every month if you qualify. So after you have your baby, you go home. Like I said, you don't pay any money in Saskatchewan for that because you are under health coverage. And then a few days later, a nurse comes home to check on your baby, to see how far your baby is doing. So they ask you as a mother questions: how are you doing? You fill a form to see if you have postpartum depression, and if you have it, they offer help and support. Going in to see a pediatrician for your baby to see how they're doing after 6 weeks. Is it 6 weeks or 3 weeks? I really can't remember. I think it's 6 weeks. And then your pediatrician checks your baby, see if your baby is doing well, see if your baby is growing, and they book you in for the next one depending on what you want. I think it's 3 weeks. Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks. So your baby has access to seeing a doctor. No money is needed. You don't pay for it as well. And also for immunization. So while you're pregnant, there are certain vaccines you get that help the mother and the baby, the unborn child, right? So you have access to that as well under public health. I did not pay for anything. I got the immunizations while I was pregnant, and when I gave birth, my baby got hers after 2 months. So they I know in Nigeria, once you give birth, you get immunized. Your baby gets immunized like almost immediately, but here it takes after 2 months because they believe that the ones the mother have gotten while pregnant will help the baby, will sustain the baby till the 2 month period. So after your baby becomes 2 months, your baby gets immunized. So basically that's the gist of it. Now, would I recommend doing this? I would only recommend this if you have a good support system, regardless of how easy it is or how cheap or whatever it is, on how much support the Canadian government gives to mothers. You still need a lot of support. You're still going to spend money even if you're not going to spend money. So if you don't have support, you'll be spending money on childcare when the baby comes. You'll be spending money on yourself, and as a student you still need to finish school. You cannot take breaks because you are violating. If you don't finish school, if you don't complete your program, you are violating your policy or the agreement you had with the government when you applied for your study permits. So those things still stand. You need to go to schools, and depending on how complicated or how, I don't want to say complicated, but how your program is. If your program is very intensive and you have to show up to classes, obviously everybody has to show up to classes, but no matter depending on how many days, like my CCA course takes me 5 days a week. I don't have that time. So it depends on your course and how long it takes. You need to be able to say that you have somebody taking care of your child, somebody that you trust. And even if you want to apply for daycare, the list, you'll be on wait list for a long time. So you must have even applied before you even get pregnant or before you give birth. You must be on the wait list. Daycares have limited space, so Now think about that. So even if you apply to go to daycare, you still need to like pay money. So the government helps, like they pay half of the money for you and you pay the rest. But before you get a spot for your child, you are going to be on wait list for a very long time. Now if you don't have that spot available when you give birth, that means you need to pay for babysitters, for nannies, which is very expensive. That's why most people just find ways to bring their family from Nigeria, or find somebody here they really trust to help them with that. So I would only recommend this if you have a good support system. I would only recommend this if you really need to do this. If you don't have to do this, if you can wait till you are done with school, please wait. Let's chill. So like I said, I can't tell you what to do, but if this is something that you've determined that you want to do, then everything I have said in the beginning of this video still stands. Yeah, that is the video, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions if you have any questions about this video that I made, drop it in the comment section. I'll get to them. If you've done this, if this was also your experience, let me know how it was. How did you survive? What are the tips you also have for somebody who wants to do this? Let's help each other. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. My baby needs to eat. Bye bye. It's okay.